You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible.
I've always said that it bugs the shit out of me that whenever we talk about qualified minorities, that we always use the qualifier qualified. Because whenever it's about white folks, nobody ever uses the words qualified. Today on The View, they were talking about Senator Tammy Duckworth blasting the Biden administration by saying that they need to have more Asian American Pacific Islanders in the cabinet. Neera Tanden, who was nominated for the Office of Management and Budget, was rejected, had to pull her nomination because of opposition. And so Duckworth was raising the issue of why this was important. So they're talking about this on The View. And Meghan McCain makes this point that, quote, if there is somebody who is, quote, more qualified, who happens to be a white, straight person who has more experience in the field than a minority with less experience, why should it matter? See, that's always the case. When is the last time you heard somebody white like Meghan McCain say, damn, that white person really ain't qualified for that job? Every time it's a conversation about less qualified, they always frame it as the white person is always the more qualified person. When we know it's some mediocre-ass white people in government, in politics, in media, in corporate America, on Wall Street, on Main Street, all over. Play the clip of Meghan today, y'all.
Excluded women farmers. And so we're going to a place where even if people need money, even if people are qualified to get into Ivy Leagues, race and gender is more important than your skill qualifications, the content of your character. It is not what Martin Luther King Jr. preached. I think this is a very, very slippery slope. I was very surprised to hear someone like Tammy Duckworth say something like this. She got a lot of blowback from a lot of people, not just on the right. And I think this is actually just the natural progression of identity politics. And I will say, just to put a cap on this, The View is 25 years old next year. We've only had one Asian American host co-host this show. So does that mean that one of us should be leaving at some point because there's not enough representation? We're talking about, is identity politics more important than qualifications of a job? And I think that's a question going forward that the progressive left is going to have to reconcile.
Okay, and before we go, because we're going to go and take a break, eventually we're going to come back and talk about the black farm.
Yep.
Let me deal with what you just heard from one of the most white, privileged women in America. I know Meghan McCain. I've been on her shows. When I was at CNN, she came on when I was guest hosting. She said she really liked my work. She follows me on Twitter. I follow her on Twitter. But let's just be real clear. The only reason Meghan McCain is on The View, the only reason she was a Fox contributor, the only reason before that she was at MSNBC, the only reason before that she had a syndicated radio host show, the only reason before that she had a show on another cable network is because her last name is McCain. And that her daddy is Senator John McCain. That's it. There is nothing, zero zilch, in Meghan McCain's resume that suggests that she has been qualified for any of these jobs. Again, any of them. Not one. I very rarely pull up Wikipedia. Go to my computer. Meghan Marguerite McCain is an American conservative, is an American conservative columnist, author, and television personality. She has worked for ABC News, Fox News, and MSNBC. It says the daughter of politician John McCain and businesswoman Cindy McCain. She has been a public figure. Give me 1 second. There we go. She's been a public figure for much of her life, first appearing at the 1996 Republican National Convention. She had a blog in 2007. She was a contributing writer for the Daily Beast, co-host on Outnumbered on Fox. Early life. Y'all, do y'all see this? This is her early life. After high school, she attended Columbia University, earned a bachelor's degree in art history in 2007. Originally planned to become a music journalist and intern at Newsweek and Saturday Night Live. Y'all, that is the extent of Meghan's career. She wrote a blog and then began writing for the Daily Beast. Signed a 6-figure book deal. All this experience I'm looking at right here. Wrote a campaign memoir, Dirty Sexy Politics. Okay. Then all of a sudden, TV career. Had a talk show on Pivot, Startup Cable Network. Analyst on MSNBC. Fox News, then The View. Meghan, you are the epitome of a white woman who has used identity politics and your daddy's name to get major media jobs. And Meghan, I can guarantee you that there are numerous black people, black women, numerous Latinas, numerous Asian women with far deeper resumes than you who were grossly qualified, overqualified for these jobs. Yet you got them. And then when you remark about identity politics, as if white identity politics has not led to jobs, how many people have been co-hosts on The View who were grossly unqualified, yet got there because of their name? Your girl, Abby Huntsman. I knew Abby at CNN. All the white bosses, oh my God, Abby is one of them. She's cute, she's gorgeous. Abby was not smart. And Abby went from CNN to a talk show host at MSNBC, went from MSNBC to Fox News, where Roger Ailes was quoted as saying, "We're going to teach her how to be a correspondent." I ain't never heard a white media executive say, "I think we're going to teach this black woman how to do TV." And went from that to the co-host of Fox and Friends on the weekends and parlayed that into The View. Them Bush girls who got hired over at the Today Show, grossly unqualified. Chelsea Clinton wasn't qualified to have her TV job. So please, Meghan, if we're going to have this conversation about qualified, at least have the decency, Meghan, to just say, "Hey, I'm a white woman who's gotten hooked up my whole life because of my daddy." I just want you to be honest. Because I can guarantee you, if that was a privileged black person, I'd say the same thing. And the same thing was said about Luke Russert. Luke is a great guy. But everybody knew Luke Russert only got the job at MSNBC because of his daddy. He had not put the time in to become a national correspondent. Why are we playing games here? Before I go to Kelly and Dee, let me add this. There have been some black people who have been saying that Alexi McCammond, who had to resign as the editor-in-chief of Teen Vote, that she wasn't ready for the job. But Jeff Zucker at 25 became executive producer of the Today Show. Mark Shapiro, in his 20s, became a high-ranking executive at ESPN. See, I always find it interesting. Y'all ever find it interesting that whenever we talk about young white people who have become high-ranking executives, don't nobody bring up their resume? Nobody bring up qualifications. The word qualified don't even come up. Yet when you're young and black, first of all, very few black people have gotten a shot that Alexi did at 27. See, we got to wait till we 35, 40, 45, 50, 55 before we finally get the shot. The new head coach of the Houston Texans is 65. You got white guys running around at 34 or 35 getting NFL head jobs. He had to wait till he's 65. So Meghan, please, if you want to talk about identity politics, you had better include white women in that category and white men in that category. Because this black man has seen for far too long a whole bunch of mediocre-ass white people get high-paying jobs and saluted and given awards, and they got the job because they are white. D?
Well, damn, you just said it all for us. I mean, you just hit the, the nail with the hammer. Because let me tell you something, bro. First of all, that girl the only reason she's on The View is because of who she is. But let's also be very clear. America loves this European model of beauty and what they represent. Even when we're trying to get government loans or contracts, when white men couldn't get it because of identity politics, they just pull their white wives and daughters into the place to take it away from black women who have worked hard and done all the necessary things. And black women are still 24% behind white men in salary pay, even though we are the most educated people in the country now. That's what all the statistics say, that black women are getting advanced degrees more than anyone else, and it's still not enough. Black women are opening more small businesses more than anyone else, and it's still not enough. We can't get the government contracts because of white identity politics. So you said it all. I mean, what else is there to say? She's there because she's white.
Kelly, one of the most grossly untalented people is Tucker Carlson.
My God.
Tucker Carlson has had a show at PBS, MSNBC, CNN. He been hired everywhere, flamed out everywhere. You rarely gonna find somebody black in media get a second shot somewhere else after they didn't succeed the first time. I mean, we could walk through. If we walk through newsrooms across America, I could walk through a newsroom with my arms crossed and bump into untalented, unqualified white folks in major positions.
I mean, I live in D.C. You can just bump into them in the street here in D.C., frankly. It is beyond insulting, but also expected for someone like Meghan McCain to actually think that she's qualified to do something such as being a host on The View. For her to be so dense as to think that it is because of imaginary qualifications outside of her dad's name that she's on that show is simply absurd. She's literally talking to an EGOT recipient in Whoopi Goldberg about her being qualified to sit next to Whoopi Goldberg, like the caucasity of it all, right? Personally, as a young black woman who has been in these spaces, I can rattle off stories for days about how many times I've gone into a room, interviewed for a position, submitted a proposal, and actually see who they ended up going for. And it's either they are grossly underqualified or they just had the right name recognition. And the whole mantra of black women, black people having to work twice as hard to get only half the credit, now it feels like even a quarter of the credit because of these identity politics. Because people don't want to act like, oh, I'm only doing it because you're black, so let's make you work just a little harder so that you are now qualified to have this position, to have this opportunity. It's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. Meghan is full of crap.
Again, what bothers me the most, and I want y'all to cue it up. Because see, I really want people to pay attention. I want you, so to do this here, I want y'all to get the split screen ready. And I want y'all to play the video of Meghan on one side, and I want y'all to have me on the other side. And I'm gonna walk y'all through this, but I need y'all to listen to keywords that are being spoken by Meghan in this 1 minute clip. Again, I need you to hear what happens when somebody is so clueless on this very issue. They have no idea. So I want y'all to play it and keep my audio up. Watch this, y'all.
Excluded women farmers. And so we're going to a place where even if people need money, even if people are qualified to get into Ivy Leagues, race and gender is more important than your skill qualifications, the content.
Pause. So we're going through this thing where race and gender is more important than your skill set. I'm sorry, Meghan. Please show me in here. Oh, see, again, show me in here where Senator Tammy Duckworth said, Meghan, pick somebody who doesn't have the skill set. She didn't say that. You just said where race and gender are more important than qualifications. Meghan, you were literally picked because you were a white woman who's a conservative, not because of your qualifications. You literally are describing yourself in your criticism. Press play.
Of your character. It is not what Martin Luther King Jr. preached. I think this is a
Stop.
very...
This is not what Martin Luther King preached. So all of a sudden, we now want to have a conversation on what Martin Luther King preached. Meghan, are you aware that Dr. King believed in the guaranteed income? Meghan, are you aware that Dr. King called himself a socialist? I've heard you condemn socialism. So now all of a sudden, you, Meghan, you want to now quote Dr. King because it fits your narrative, but you don't want to talk about the other stuff that Dr. King preached. So when you say, Meghan, this is not what Dr. King preached, what exactly, Meghan, did he preach? Did you hear one speech, Meghan, of Dr. King? Or did you listen to any of his sermons? Press play.
Very slippery slope. I was very surprised to hear someone like Tammy Duckworth say something like this. She got a lot of blowback from a lot of people, not just on the right. And I think this is actually just the natural progression of identity politics.
Stop.
And I will say, just to put...
This is the natural progression of identity politics. Because Senator Tammy Duckworth said that we need more AAPI in the cabinet. Meghan, how many white presidents have we had? How many white vice presidents have we had? In the history of the United States, Meghan, how many white men have sat on the Supreme Court? 105, 106? Women, African Americans, Latinos have made up what? 6 of the 106, something like that. Meghan, how many white men and white women are Fortune 500 CEOs? Meghan, how many white men and white women run newsrooms all across the country? Isn't it amazing when all of a sudden someone calls for the addition of 1 or 2 people of color? White women like yourself go, oh my God, this is the natural progression of identity politics. Meghan, if African Americans, Latinos, Asian Americans, Native Americans, if we have been chosen based upon skill set, I can guarantee you, Meghan, I can guarantee you there would be a hell of a lot more people of color in these positions because whiteness would not be the determinant based upon the person who's hiring. Press play.
A cap on this. The View is 25 years old next year. We've only had one Asian American co-host this show. So does that mean that one of us should be leaving at some point because there's not enough representation? We're talking about, is identity politics more important than qualifications of a job? And I think that's a question going forward that the progressive left is going to have to reconcile.
And right there, Meghan, what you fail to even realize, Meghan, is how white supremacy has worked in America. The fact that you, Meghan, can't even acknowledge that whiteness has been the determinant for so many jobs in America up until this point is problematic. Meghan, I dare you to walk through the executive suite at ABC News and count how many people of color you see. I dare you, Meghan, to walk through the executive suites of Disney, the parent company of ABC, and count how many people of color that you see. If you do that, Meghan, you might realize that there are very few. And see, how do we know that's a problem? Because, Meghan, at the company that employs you, its top two bosses announced that they were leading the company-wide diversity committees because there have been so few. But see, that's what happens when you step outside of your whiteness. This is what happens, Meghan, when you step outside of your rich white bubble and then begin to understand the reality of what a black journalist has had to endure to get to the table of The View. Actually have the conversation with Sunny Hostin. Go have the conversation with Whoopi Goldberg on what she had to go through to get to the table. Meghan, Sunny and Whoopi didn't have the opportunity to be able to say my daddy was a United States Senator, so therefore hire me. Because that literally is the extent of your experience. If you, Meghan, would be honest, and that's all I'm asking you, and I like you, Meghan. We've always got along. But this is where there's a blind spot, Meghan. It's a blind spot because you just went on national television railing against identity politics and saying it's going to be problematic for the left, as if there's no identity politics that's on the right. Whiteness and white privilege is real, Meghan. And if there were pictures in the dictionary to illustrate unqualified white women who have gotten major jobs on television, your picture would be there. Just admit it.
All right, folks, back to that Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends. Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have, you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it, please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. All right, folks, y'all know what time it is.
No charcoal grills are allowed.
I'm white. I got you, huh?
Illegally selling water without a permit
On my property.
Whoa! Hey!
You don't live here.
I'm uncomfortable.
Well, you never know what you're going to see on the subway in New York City on this crazy train ride. One white woman decides to go full Karen and tries to stop a black man from reading his Bible aloud. And there are a lot of subway preachers, y'all, in the city. So who knows why this woman had an issue with this dude, but oh, check how the church came alive to rebuke this devil.
Waiting and you. I'm going to read this way. Hellfire is waiting and you. Hellfire, don't touch me. Don't touch me. Please don't touch me. Okay, don't touch me. Don't touch me. You are in my space. Please don't touch me. Don't touch me. You leave them all the way over there. Don't touch me. 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 I got a lot of folks see me. The Bible says, don't bear no mind. That's a demon right here.
They're captive. They could be Jewish. They could be Jewish. You cannot have a right to push it.
I am already preached everything. Everywhere. Satan is a liar. Hear what the Bible says. And the devil that deceived them was cast alive in the lake of fire and brimstone where the beast and the false prophet are. And they were tormented day and night forever and ever. Ladies and gentlemen, all those who follow Satan is gonna burn forever and ever. All those who don't want, the devil don't want you to hear the word. And devil, you and your followers, you're gonna fall in the lake of fire. The Bible says, and the devil that deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet are, and shall be tormented day and night forever and ever. There is power, wonder-working power in the blood of the Lamb. There is power, wonder-working power in the precious blood of the Lamb. In the name of Jesus, in the name of Jesus, we are the victory. In the name of Jesus, in the name of Jesus, Satan to us to flee. For there is power, wonder-working power in the blood of the Lamb. There is power, wonder-working power in the precious blood of the Lamb. For there is
Oh, I love the choir joining in for a little church service there, Julian.
Amen. Amen. Brother Man had it going on. And this thing, all he should have said is, "Get thee behind me, Satan," and left it at that. But
Well, Satan was standing behind him.
she surely was. These Karens are just amazing. They are just amazing, and they crack us up. They give us plenty of entertainment, and I'm grateful that the brother didn't just haul off and slap the you-know-what out of her, which is probably what I would have done, because she had it coming. But anyway, Brother Ben stayed in his God, and good for him.
I thought that was just too funny, Avis, and how everybody just started singing and clapping along with the song. Praise the Lord.
Exactly. Yeah, that was hilarious. Now, once again, I'm a little frightened because I ain't see no mask. But let me just say, he definitely knew how to get rid of that, demonic spirit that was behind him, even though she kept on trying to harass him. But I think when the whole train sort of chimed in with the song, she figured out, okay, I've lost this battle. Let me just kind of slink back over here a little bit. So that was funny.
Eugene, go ahead.
Man, look, I agree with Avis. I was like, oh man, we're the mask guy, the mask here. But I do think that the community backing him up on it was probably the highlight of that video, and hopefully she learned her lesson.
Oh my goodness! I'll wait for amen. I was hoping he was gonna lay hands on her. He should say, "Yo, somebody got some oil. Just pass me some oil and just lay hands on her. That just hit her with the anointing. Hit her with the anointing. All right, y'all. All right, folks. Back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends. Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have that you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it, please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible.
Well, after the little flare-up over her support of Piers Morgan on the talk, Sharon Osbourne, she is out as a member of the talk panel. Of course, the show is going to return on April 12th. This is the breaking news banner. This is right here on Deadline.com. Go ahead right to my iPad, please. She exits the talk after allegations of misconduct and racist remarks. Show returns April 12th. You might remember there were a variety of folks who talked about what took place. CBS actually, they had a investigation. This was the statement that they put out. The events of the March 10th broadcast were upsetting to everyone involved, including the audience watching at home. As part of our review, we concluded that Sharon's behavior toward her co-host during the March 10th episode did not align with our values for a respectful workplace. We also did not find any evidence that CBS executives orchestrated the discussion or blindsided any of the hosts. Y'all remember, that's what Sharon actually alleged. At the same time, we acknowledge the network and studio teams, as well as the showrunners, are accountable for what happened during that broadcast, as it was clear the co-hosts were not properly prepared by the staff for a complex and sensitive discussion involving race. During this week's hiatus, we are coordinating workshops, listening sessions, and training about equity, inclusion, and cultural awareness for the host, producers, and crew. Going forward, we are identifying plans to enhance the producing staff and producing procedures to better serve the host, the production, and ultimately our viewers. Now, of course, she was one of the original hosts. Sharon Osbourne was there 11 years, and you might remember Holly Robinson Pete had actually posted, y'all, that Sharon once called her ghetto and was responsible for her being booted off of the talk. Sharon's lawyers sent Holly a cease and desist letter demanding she take down those comments from social media. Yashar Ali posted a story where he talked about other comments that Sharon Osbourne made, negative comments about Julie Chen and other hosts on the show. Micah, what do you make of Sharon Osbourne getting the boot? Here she was defending her boy Piers Morgan, who walked off his show and got the boot.
Now her defending him led to her getting the boot.
Oh, sorry.
Hey,
her comments were really
Come on, Mike, stop turning your microphone off.
Sorry. Her comments were really insensitive. And this deals with I did a whole broadcast, man, dealing with Meghan Markle married into a family of colonizers, okay? And they're not colonizers because they're white. They're colonizers because Great Britain colonized 1/5 of the world population. But brother, this is the chickens coming home to roost. In today's climate, unless you're on Fox News, you can't just say anything and be white and get away with it. There are going to be repercussions. So, and especially behind the interview that Meghan Markle did, where she talked about contemplating suicide behind the racism she was experiencing, but also Meghan Markle was being attacked by the British tabloids as well. Okay, that's another aspect of this also. But hey. Gotta go, as Robin Harris says. So, I'm happy to see this. But this also ties us to another point, Roland. America, I know she's from Britain and she was the wife of Ozzy Osbourne, but America needs a massive history lesson. Americans are very, very ignorant, regardless of race. Americans are very ignorant of the history of this country. America needs a massive history lesson as well. So, this is good news. Rush Limbaugh died during Black History Month, and now Sharon Osbourne's going. Oh, did I say
damn?
Here? I'm sorry.
Damn. I ain't happy anybody dies.
I'm not saying I'm happy he died. I'm just saying it's a coincidence he died during Black History Month. I'm not saying I'm happy he died.
All right.
No, I'm not saying I'm happy he died.
Robert.
Well, Roland, I'm not going to lie to you. I've never seen or heard of the talk. I don't know who Sharon Osbourne is. I don't know what channel the show comes on. It sounds like a racist lady got fired. I'm glad that she did. And I think this opens up the door for more diversity of thought in media, that maybe we can have more broad-based discussions involving more people. But as far as this individual, she sounds like a terrible person. I'm glad she's gone.
You don't know who Sharon Osbourne is and what the talk is?
I don't watch TV, Roland. I really don't. I watch the news and sports. Ask me about LeBron or something. The Hawks just traded Rondo. I got you on that. We got Lou Williams back. We're in the 4 seed in the East. I'm good on that.
Have you heard of Ozzy Osbourne?
That's the same person? Cool. I know Ozzy. So, but I don't know Ozzy's wife, or is this his daughter, or whoever the lady is?
Robert,
his wife.
His wife.
Well, good for her. I'm glad. Are they still married, or whatever works for them? But yeah, Hawks, number 4 seed, East.
Okay.
How the Rockets doing?
Okay. Lord,
when you say Rockets, are you talking about NASA?
Lord have mercy.
No, the Houston Rockets.
He is sitting here. He don't know Sharon. He don't know the talk. He don't know what network it's on. Okay.
But also is not a TV show that I don't watch it. I've seen clips of it before, but I kept up on what was going on with it because I do radio 6 days a week. I kept up with what was going on. Sharon Osbourne and the comments she made about Meghan Markle, things like this. So
Well, see,
go ahead.
The reason this is still a huge deal is because CBS has a massive race problem. We've been covering the 2 executives with CBS-owned operating stations who were suspended because of their leadership there. That NABJ, I'm on the board. We released a statement calling for them to be fired. That investigation is ongoing. We've gotten calls from people from all aspects of CBS. We had Dr. Rachel on talking about, of course, what she experienced, toxic behavior on the CBS syndicate side. We've heard stuff from CBS Radio, CBS News. I mean, all throughout. I mean, so look, George Cheeks, who's all over CBS, he knows they've got a massive company-wide problem of significant issues at CBS. And so it's no surprise that she's out. And you know what? I would love to see them bring back Holly Robinson Peete.
Yeah, that'd be good. And when I saw the statement that she said, Sharon Osbourne said Holly Robinson Peete is ghetto, I'm like, wait a second, hold on. 21 Jump Street, Holly Robinson Peete said. So, it's clear Sharon Osbourne is like out of touch with reality also. Okay, you know that's clear as well. So,
well, she
hey, you know,
she declined saying she said she'd never said that, but yeah, got it. Well, she ain't
Are we
that.
talking about Rodney Pete, who used to play for the Eagles?
Holly Robinson Peters' his wife. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, cool.
Right.
All right, we here. I got you.
21 Jump Street, Holly Robinson.
Robert, you don't know Holly Robinson Pete.
Not in the slightest. Couldn't pick her up a lineup.
From 21 Jump Street?
I don't watch. I was 4 when 21
back
Jump
in the
Street was
80s? The TV show
on.
back in the 80s,
84.
21. Oh,
yes, I was born in '84. I was like 3. I know. I don't know.
Your Purple Rain came out, man. You born your Purple Rain came
I
out.
remember Rodney Pete because I was a Randall Cunningham fan, and Rodney Pete was the quarterback after him. I remember Ozzy Osbourne, but I didn't know we were required to know people's wives going forward. So, look, just send me the cliff notes on it or something.
But boy, Holly Robinson Pete has stature in her own right. She ain't just Mrs. Rodney Pete.
I just don't know those things. The Rockets broke their 20-game.
You know what, Robert, you really on the verge of being benched. I mean, you don't know how. See, you gonna make me cuss. You gonna make me cuss. you gonna make me cuss. All right. Y'all, you know what? On that, I'm just gonna cut the damn show short. I can't even. I ain't even. You know, these last 15 minutes, I ain't even gonna put. All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends. Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have that you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it, please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. As Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible.
All right, folks, y'all know what time it is.
No charcoal grills are allowed.
I'm white. I got you, huh?
Illegally selling water without a permit
On my property.
Whoa! Hey!
Give me your right.
You don't live here.
I'm uncomfortable.
Imagine listening to Buffalo Morning Drive Time Radio, and a shock jock is talking about toast. And the crew is discussing how they like their toast, and they make a comparison to black women. Listen.
What is your what's the number?
You're setting,
I think it's probably a 7-ish, 6 to 7,
God.
probably 7.
See, we have ours, and I'm going to get into trouble for
Like
this.
2
but
o'clock.
I have them to the attractiveness of women that I find to be attractive. So I will never go to a Serena Williams level, but I'm very comfortable with. I'm very comfortable at a Halle Berry level.
Okay.
I need a little bit of mulatto still coming through. It can't be,
Not like, is Gail King that's not in your realm?
No, Gail King is not even on my toaster.
You about to lose your job. You about to lose your job. you are about to lose your job. WGRF 97 Rock radio host, former radio host Rob Letterman, said he was so comfortable with his toast. Well, let's just say as that clip went out, things didn't go so well. Not only that, Letterman also lost his job as a host for the National Hockey League's Buffalo Sabres, and his two co-hosts, who giggled at his comments, have been suspended. See, Greg, I keep saying, every time one of these white folk do this, 100 black people should apply for their job. I'm telling you, if they keep this up, we could end all black unemployment with this crazy-ass white people segment.
I don't know, Roland. The only reason I say I don't know, brother, is because clearly he was there because he was popular. We think of Don Imus. We think of Howard Stern, so-called shock jocks. We think of Rush Limbaugh. Now, well, I guess he's too far away from John Lewis to have a conversation given the proximate distance between heaven and hell, but they are popular. They have listeners. If you put black people in it, you put a black woman in that seat or a black man in that seat, and the ratings plunge. See, the thing that keeps these people going is not the individuals, it's the people who listen to them and the ad rate and the ad buy they can use it. I mean, you know this much better than all of us combined. And so when I hear something like that, of course, get rid of him, but that's just cutting the head off of the deeper problem. The problem is this is how non-white people are viewed, with black people at the bottom of a pyramid at which whiteness is at the top. And at the bottom of that pyramid of blackness is the black man and the black woman, depending on who's doing the talking. Mulatto, that conversation, that is about sexuality, that's about gender, that's about how women are viewed in general, and then black women in particular. All of that is in the soul of the listeners. So you get rid of him and put somebody else in there, then they probably tank the thing. Then he go put his replacement in, who's just going to be a little bit more careful next time and have a different type of narrative, but tap into that same psyche. The guy's popular. That's why he was there in the first place.
The thing here, Amisha, is, they, to even think that conversation, I like mulatto toast. Oh, no, I'm not. I will not go as far as my toast being Serena Williams. Yeah. The station fired them before it happened yet. Look, it did not take long to fire them because they saw that heat that was about to come.
There's no coming back from something like that. And Roland, when I had originally heard this story, I thought that this was a hot mic situation. Not that would make it any better, but the fact that they did this during a live broadcast makes it even worse. And I'll add something else to that. I think that as a black woman, I'm always extremely offended when I hear white men specifically make fun of, castigate, and throw under Serena Williams on a regular basis, not only because of body type, but also because of skin tone. And it is devastating. It is hurtful. It is something that comes from a relic in an era in our country's history that is not only disparaging, but disgusting. But I'll also add this, Roland. We can't act like colorism and this level of disgust isn't something that exists within the African-American community as well. Now, there's some kitchen cleanup that has to be done here when it comes to how black women specifically are rated in terms of their attractiveness based on this idealism that the closer they are to whiteness and lightness means that they are, closer to being worthy, closer to being, this idea of beauty. That level of frustration I heard from those men is the same level of frustration I get when I'm looking at some of the chats and hearing from black men out in the streets who say very similar things. This is a whole problem that exists not only within that minutia that we just heard, and yes, they deserve to lose their jobs. I'm glad that the two who giggled and also helped to carry that conversation along are also suspended, but this is a much bigger context and conversation because black women have been through so much in this country, and the last thing we need is this consistent judgment based on skin tone, not only from white people who created that lever, but also from black men who continue to perpetuate it to present day.
Brittany?
Yeah, absolutely. I have to just echo everything that the panel said. Obviously, this is all happening under the umbrella of white supremacy. And Amisha, I'm so glad that you said what you said, because you hit the nail on the head. Look, I'm a light-skinned Black woman. We know this, and it is so interesting how often being catcalled and being people are showing some type of interest, right? And the first thing they say is, something about my skin complexion, right? Because it is the white supremacy and the anti-Blackness is so pervasive, and we continue to see this manifest itself in numerous ways. Whether that's the skin bleaching creams that women feel like they need to use in South Asia, whether it's the umbrellas that are used in East Asia to make sure that there's no tanning of the skin. It's a legacy of white supremacy that we see not only in the white community, but in various communities of color. And I have to do a little shout out to a documentary it's about to come out called Subjects of Desire, which deals with the intricacies and legacy of Black women in beauty, white supremacy, and colorism.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends. Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have, you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it. Please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. As Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible.
I do also want to address this because, see, I get a kick out of people who love to present a different picture, and frankly, they lie. Check this out. Remember the dude we had on the show who was booked to talk about voter suppression? This guy, a new emerging king, the dude from Albany. He goes, my favorite portion of this interview with Roland Martin, this part was so beautiful, do for self, blah, 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 blah. So then, of course, you know that troll, Boyce Watkins, decides to talk to him, and Boyce trifling ass, because Boyce is also a liar. Yeah, Ben is getting real uncomfortable on this show. It's calling
I'm good.
So little King Randall got all these little trolls. Oh, Roland Martin don't like doing for self. I created this, so that's kind of stupid. That's it. And so they were all running their mouths. Oh, you should be celebrating this king for starting his own school, or why you hating on them? And I had to explain to people that, well, maybe part of the problem, because y'all like, oh, you trying to tear him down? I say, well, maybe part of the problem is y'all don't want to accept the reality that he agreed to come on the show to talk about voter suppression. But then he wanted to do a bait and switch when he was on the show. Just in case folk think I'm lying.
Oh, no, here we go.
Receipt.
See?
Receipt, that's right.
I'm going to have receipts for your ass. This is what I tweeted. Guess who is quiet as hell about this racist and massive voter suppression bill from Georgia Republicans? Black Republicans like Alveda King, Bruce Lavelle, Angie Stanton, Janelle Kay, Jalen Johnson, New Emerging King, also quiet, Paris Denard, C.J. Pearson, Kim Baltimore. King Randall tweets, drop the lower third. LOL, I'm glad you thought of me, though. Jalen Johnson, you want to go on the show? Interesting. That's what he tweeted. So guess what happened next, y'all? What happened next was, I said this. Son, you're a black conservative from Georgia. Easy question, New Emerging King, Jalen Johnson. Do y'all endorse and support the Georgia Republicans voter suppression bill? Do y'all stand with black people? Come back to me, please.
I then sent this. Y'all gonna love this one here. Hey, Jalen Johnson, you really don't think Georgia Republicans isn't targeting black people? Y'all see where it says this tweet was deleted by the tweet author? That's where Jalen tweeted, oh, he not gonna have us on the show. Y'all see he deleted it. King Randall responded, he ain't gonna do it. All he gonna do is get 10 people on a panel versus us two and overtalk us the whole time like a female, LOL. That's what King Randall, Mr. Manly Mans, tweeted. Come back to me, please, last one. Here's the tweet where I said it. Both of you bring your asses. King Randall, LOL, send an invite and tell me when. Guess what? When Randall came on the show, I'm not bothered with voting. I'm all about doing for self. It's called bait and switch. Yeah. See, so if y'all want to sit out here and say, man, why are you condemning this young brother, you know, who bought his own school and bought his own bus? The topic was never his school. The topic was never the bus. I just showed you the receipts on how his ass he was invited to discuss voter suppression, but he did not want to do it. And now you want to post edited clips, on how you schooled me and I was attacking this young brother. And then you got troll-ass Boyce Watkins, who is nothing but a clout click chaser. Because he can't build his own audience. He got to use me to build his audience.
Clout click chaser?
It's a thing. It's a thing.
See, I told y'all I have receipts. So I wasn't condemning the brother, but since he decided to switch the topics by trying to say, I don't really care about voting myself, when he was invited because he was defending voter suppression on Twitter. And also, that little punk ass Jalen J. Johnson, the one who really was trying to comment, let me make your ass famous too right now. Because I need to put you up. This little punk, Jalen Johnson, right here from Washington, D.C. Go ahead and show it. Team Byron Downs, opinions here, mine and mine alone. Donald Trump, Rodney Davis, Mark Walker alum, Georgia boy coerced to D.C. This little sorry-ass dude been running, y'all. He was the one who said, I would never book him and Lil King Randall. I issued the invite. Go back. Jalen's weak ass won't come on to talk voter suppression of Republicans in Georgia. If you gonna run your mouth on Twitter, bring your ass. Anybody else got anything left to say on this topic?
Bring the receipts. You know, I let that be a lesson to all you trolls, because I've been seeing some of the commentary myself. But you better be glad I'm very, very busy to respond. But let that be a lesson to you.
There you go. Go ahead, Ben.
Roland, I would just say, for folks, for everyone who's doing good work, God bless you. For everyone who doesn't realize that this system will commodify our revolution and sell it right back to us on the Grammy Awards, in Coca-Cola commercials, and still do nothing about justice, just be mindful that that's happening too.
And if you're going to sit here and try to tell me that I don't believe in black self-sufficiency, when that's literally what we talk about 5 days a week, no, what you should be saying is why the little 21-year-old boy who y'all praising is making excuses. And he came on the show for one reason, then played bait and switch. But see, I know you had no little following. And you got all the little white conservatives tweeting me, oh, that's right, he should run for president. But guess what, King Randall? Ask them same white conservatives where their asses were when Ahmaud Arbery got shot.
That's it.
Ask the same ones That's the same ones. Why they quiet about voter suppression in Georgia. Yeah, It's amazing how quiet those trolls get. This is the warning to any of y'all out here. If you come at me,
y'all leave Roland alone. Y'all don't mess with this.
Yeah, I agree with that.
He's a grown ass man. Don't mess with this man.
if you come at me, you bet not miss.
Especially with the African Ashiki, he ain't playing.
Because
y'all leave this man alone, please.
I'm telling you right now, you come at me and you come at my friends, you bet not miss. Because if you lie, I will expose you. My philosophy has been the same my whole career. If you do good, I'll talk about you. If you do bad, I'll talk about you. At the end of the day, I'll talk about you. Keep trying me and see what happens. Hashtag team whip that ass gonna show up every time. All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends. Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have, you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it, please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. Well, Associated Press report discovered that a private Facebook group for Pittsburgh police officers became a place to spread hate online. Several pro-Trump members of the Pittsburgh Area Police Break Room Facebook group often refer to Black Lives Matter as terrorists and thugs. They shared posts criticizing law enforcement who marched with Black Lives Matter and Democrats whom they often refer to as Democrats. Over time, the conversation within the group shifted from jokes about policing and memorializing fallen officers to racist and transphobic comments. In 2019, the Plainview Project shared thousands of racist, sexist posts from active and retired police officers in 8 other departments around the country. Now, Greg Carr, we ain't shocked by any of this. This is the stuff, though, that we need to understand that happens in these police departments, that people, oh, no, there are a few bad apples, but it's amazing. We keep hearing about racist cops in St. Louis, out of Florida, out of California, out of Pennsylvania, out of Georgia. We can go on and on and on. Can we stop playing games that we have white supremacists on these police forces nationwide?
No, because they've always been there. That's what the police means. Goes back, as we know, to the slave patrol. The two quick things right quick. From the story that you just covered, when we heard Dominique and Shireen talk about the Communications Decency Act of 1996 and Section 230, the platform gets to choose what to restrict or not. And as we heard, they're punishing black folk. They're taking us out of there. What the solution that Shireen offered is really the one. You have to almost treat them like public utilities, make them public, and then you tell them what to do. Otherwise, white nationalist groups like this, which we've always known to exist, will continue in this, and they'll be abetted by these private actors like Facebook, who then hide behind Section 230 by saying the law says that we're not responsible for what third parties post. So they're basically enabling them without any harm. So you got to do public relations. The second thing of the two is this. I'm glad you keep bringing up the third Reconstruction, because what we saw in the wake of the first Reconstruction, almost immediately in places like Halifax in Louisiana, in places like North Carolina and other places, is that those white nationalists, in collusion with extra legal folk, so not just the police, but the Klan and everybody else, started almost immediately with voter intimidation, started almost immediately with violence and with this rhetoric to begin to claw back the loss that they felt in the Civil War. This is what's happening again. This rhetoric isn't harmless. It isn't just some people playing around on social media. You combine that with Brian Kemp using the alarm words, well, it's billionaires and left wing. No, that's like saying communists in that in 1950s. And that's like saying carpetbaggers in 1860 and 70. This rhetoric is of a piece of this larger problem that is going to finally be solved one way or the other. You can pass a law, which is going to be challenged in court, of course, that says you can't pass out water, but we are black people. So, you know, we're going to arm people with 8 water bottles and a piece of chicken at the church before anybody ever goes to get in line. And then when you show up with your gun because you think the police going to be on your side because you've been monitoring the Facebook chat, when them young brothers and sisters in the Not Effing Around coalition in Georgia show up on the other side, this is when we're going to have a decision to make. All this is going to end up probably in violence, unless we come up with different types of solution to disarm them. And part of it, I think, is disarming Facebook, regulating it like a public utility, and that then takes the decision out of the hands of Mark Zuckerberg, whose company's worth $800 billion right now.
Racist cops. What a shocker, Amisha.
It's one of those things where I'm like, color me surprised, Roland. At the end of the day, I agree with Dr. Carr here. We have seen generation after generation where police, law enforcement, to a large extent, the military as well, has become a home to white supremacists and white supremacist terror. So acknowledging the fact that they have found these private Facebook groups, and anything on social media isn't private, so that's an oxymoron in and of itself. But they found these private Facebook groups where they feel it open enough for them to be able to have these conversations with each other, where they not only share racial epithets, but they also share things that are essentially dog whistles to help to, stress their covert ideology around how they actually feel about Black Lives Matter, how they actually feel about the racial reckoning that we happen to be in, as well as how they feel about race and culture writ large. This tells us something not only about these officers, but about the fact that a continuation of people who are chosen to lead in law enforcement, who are chosen for these roles where they are to protect and serve, are individuals who inhabit very, very problematic viewpoints against people of color, specifically Black people. And that, to me, shows, again, this isn't a bad apple scenario, because if it was, we wouldn't see it across the country. We wouldn't see it for generations, time and time again, regardless of whether it's an urban or rural area. What we see is that this is the police department. This is who they are. And you cannot, and I get tired of hearing it, you cannot train your way into equity. That's not a thing. These are people who are brandished with guns and people who believe wholeheartedly that they are an elite class, that not only them, but their whiteness is an elite class, and that their job is to dismantle Black people, to dismantle the communities, to instill fear, to invoke violence. That is something where, I feel like this generation, when we talk about the defund the police movement, this is what they're talking about it for, because they recognize what many on the right, as well as some on the left, the moderates being the most spoken about, don't, in the sense that there's many people who are irredeemable. This is a system that is irredeemable. This is one that has to be broken apart and started anew. This is one that has to be removed from our culture as it exists today, because it is one that is more damaging than it is helpful. And it is one that automatically sees Black bodies as criminals. It is one that automatically sees Black bodies as something to dismantle and to disengage with. It is one that automatically sees Black bodies as not mattering. And it's one that automatically sees Black bodies as those that can be dismissed. And I think that that's very clear in those social media posts.
Brittany.
Yeah, I mean, I have to echo the things the other panelists said. This isn't anything new. And in 2019, we know the Plainview Project released a database of similar posts from 8 different police departments. And the project, it showed Facebook accounts of over 3,000 individuals 600 which were retired officers, and they found thousands upon thousands of posts that were racist, sexist, advocated for police brutality. But I think this goes back to the point that both of the panelists made earlier, which is, this isn't something new, and these aren't individual bad apples. We know that the earliest iterations of policing are related to the slave patrol. When we talk about that mantra, related to the police that protect and serve, we're missing the second half of that statement. It's to protect and serve the interest of the ruling class. So the police, and extends to the military and all other state soldiers, essentially, are not here to protect us as Black people. It's not about finding a home for their rhetoric. Their very existence is white supremacist in nature. And that's why you don't see the National Guard mobilized when Black bodies are killed by police or the community watch. But, you let some Capitol burn down and then all of these entities are being mobilized, because that's what these institutions, that's what these groups are actually about. And, I always say it's why we have to not only defund the police, but completely re-envision policing, try and envision a world where policing doesn't exist, at least not in the way that we currently know it. And I always say to people who are like, it's not possible, it's not going to happen. There was a point where we didn't think enslavement was ever going to end. There was a point where we didn't think legal segregation was ever going to end. And yet here we are, because the collective power and will of the people is all that we need.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends. Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it, please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. Samaria Rice, the mother of Tamir Rice and Lisa Simpson, the mother of Richard Reichert, who was shot and killed in Los Angeles, are calling for Tamika Mallory, Ben Crump, and a number of others to step down from their involvement in activism in fighting for Black people. Now, a statement was released by Samira Rice, and she made some posts last week on Facebook blasting Tamika and others, really criticizing them for their work. That's led to lots of conversation back and forth from a lot of people. And I really thought it's important for us to really walk through this and break this down, because I've seen a lot of comments on social media. I've seen people going back and forth. No, go back to the statement, please. I've seen people going back and forth, and so I want to break this down. So this is the statement here. The official statement from Samaria Rice, Mother Tamir Rice, and Lisa Simpson. Tamika D. Mallory, Sean King, Benjamin Crump, Lee Merritt, Patrice Cullors, Melina Abdullah, and the Black Lives Matter Global Network need to step down, stand back, and stop monopolizing and capitalizing our fight for justice and human rights. We never hired them to be representatives in the fight for justice for our dead loved ones murdered by the police. The activists have events in our cities and have not given us anything substantial for using our loved ones' images and names on their flyers. The attorneys in our fight are also misleading the impacted families. In the case of Tamir Rice, it was even questionable as to whether Benjamin Crump knew the laws in depth in the state of Ohio. I fired him 6 to 8 months into Tamir's case. We don't want or need y'all parading in the streets, accumulating donations, platforms, movie deals, etc., off the death of our loved ones, while the families and communities are left clueless and broken. Don't say our loved ones' names, period. That's our truth. Now, that is the statement. Okay? Now, so I was on Twitter and the mother of Lisa Simpson. She actually posted a variety of tweets on this very issue that that are important. That are important because what she is saying is that they need to be paid. They posted this tweet right here. Update from Samaria Rice. This was at 1:34 today. I've been contacted by the following people: Patrice Cullors, Sean King, and Tamika Mallory. Me and my team will be preparing an official response. Thank you to everyone who has joined me and Lisa Simpson in fighting for our sons. Okay, so that was a tweet that they actually sent out today on this very issue. The other thing is when you begin to break down what was stated, because Samaria Rice was really upset when Tamika Mallory was on the Grammys, when she spoke on that particular program, and it was doing a performance by the baby. Now, I'm going to walk through this, and I'm going to show you several things, because I think it's important as we talk about this that we really properly walk through it so people understand what was said, what was done, and really what is involved. I know Tamika very well. What's interesting about this is that Tamika wasn't involved in the case with Tamir Rice. Tamika didn't travel to Cleveland, wasn't out there doing anything with regards to that case. But this was the performance that really angered Samaria Rice. Watch this. Not sure why we're not getting any sound. All right, guys, we'll figure that out. But I know it's kicking out sound here. So she speaks at the Grammys. They come up with the statement saying, you've raised money off of Tamir Rice. Tamika did a podcast where she broke that down. So here, we understand the pain and the agony of both of these mothers who've lost sons. But when they call on all the folks they mentioned to step down from the movement, no disrespect to Lisa Simpson or Samaria Rice, but they don't speak for all of the families who've actually lost loved ones. They only speak for themselves. Earlier, Tamika posted on her Instagram page, she posted a statement from the family of Breonna Taylor. And remember, they were in Until Freedom, the group that Tamika works for. They spent a significant amount of time in Louisville fighting on behalf of Breonna Taylor. This was the post. The family of Breonna Taylor fully supports and stands with Tamika D. Mallory and Until Freedom, just as they have with us. If you scroll through the comments, there was Sabrina Fulton, Trayvon Martin's mother. Tamika, I'm still with you because you are still with me. Hashtag say her name, Trayvon Martin. There was, and I'm looking for the comment, I saw it earlier. There was another family member who said that since their child had been shot and killed, Tamika had consistently talked to and communicated with the family. And so as we begin to unpack this, you have this emerging narrative where people are saying, y'all stole all this money. Now, a lot of this tension has been made public when Black Lives Matter announced that they had raised $90 million. A lot of this tension is a result of lots of back and forth on the issue. What's interesting about this is that the NAACP has actually received more money than Black Lives Matter Network since the death of George Floyd. Is anyone asking the NAACP to step down? Is anyone asking the NAACP they should not be fighting and speaking on behalf of communities and social justice? Why not? What's interesting here is that Samir Rice talks about Ben Crump. Let me explain to y'all, and I don't have to defend Ben Crump. I'm only explaining to you what works. Let me be real clear. What works. When you are hired as a lawyer, you're out of state, you have to partner with local counsel. We've seen this happen. We've seen this in Minneapolis. We've seen other cases. We've seen this in Dallas. I mean, we can go on and on and on. That's what a Ben Crump will do. If there's a case in Georgia, they will partner with attorneys that are in Georgia. If it happens in Ohio, they will partner with attorneys there in Ohio. Typically, families hire folks like Ben Crump to actually bring attention to their case. That's why they get hired. That's how this works. This is no different than when Johnny Cochran was alive. Johnny Cochran was hired. Families could have easily hired a local attorney. But they brought in Johnny Cochran because Johnny Cochran brings in cameras. To the idiots who are on YouTube saying I'm always speaking for Ben Crump, y'all can go to hell. I don't always speak for Ben Crump. I'm telling you how it works. I'm telling you that whether you hire a white attorney, a black attorney, doesn't matter. If an attorney is licensed in Florida and you hire them, there's a legal process they must go through to work on a case. That has nothing to do with one or the other. See, the issue here is not, oh, you're defending Black Lives Matter. No, the problem is there are far too many of you on Twitter, on Instagram, on Snapchat, on YouTube, who comment on stuff and you don't know any facts. Tamika Mallory, was it in Cleveland protesting during the Tamir Rice case? If Samaria Rice is saying, don't mention my son's name, okay. Don't get mentioned. Don't be surprised if no one mentions what happened to your son and the case, if folks forget about it. Y'all, we can literally walk through all of this. Do y'all understand? When we cover the 20th anniversary of the Million Man March, there were numbers of families out there who were not on stage. Not every family story gets picked up. Not every family is going to be on national television. Not every settlement is going to be as large as the next one. I want to read. I want to read through a series of tweets. Just give me a second. Because I think this is vital because we're beginning to walk through. And also, this is also what happens when people tweet stuff and lie. So, peaceful_rule on Twitter, you're a lying ass when you just tweeted 1 minute ago. Roland Martin is making an argument in favor of Tamika Mallory, Ben Crump, and Sean King, claiming the tension with Samaria Rice and Lisa Simpson is over $90 million raised by BLM. This is also reductive and actually not what Samaria said. You are a liar. And I'm going to call you a liar because you lied 1 minute ago. I am fully unpacking what is going on here. You are a liar. So please don't lie. Tell folk exactly what I'm laying out. What I am laying out is that, and I've been covering this, I have been covering the tension that has existed inside of the Black Lives Matter movement. We've had critics on. We've had Patrice Cullors on. What I am saying is, since the $90 million announcement was made, you've had Mike Brown and activists in Ferguson protesting, saying they should send $20 million of that to Ferguson. So see, don't lie and tell a partial thing of what we're doing. And everyone you mentioned, I didn't all mention. Let's just be real clear. So if you're going to open your mouth and say some things, then what you really need to do is speak truthfully. And the reason this is important is because there are people who have committed themselves to social justice and do understand ain't no 401k programs in social justice. It's not. There are people who are out there getting COVID on the streets, getting arrested, raising awareness, doing all of those things when it comes to many of these cases. See, I'm going to deal in facts. And the reason I am going to deal in facts is because I need our people discussing this not from a factless position, but a fact-based position. Tamika Mallory is not the only activist in America. She's not. Until Freedom, the group she co-founded, is one organization. They are not tied to the Black Lives Matter Global Network. The New York Justice League, I've had them on. They are not tied. Do all of these folks know each other? Yes. First and foremost, the phrase Black Lives Matter is a phrase. The problem is people group all of the black activists together all under the umbrella of Black Lives Matter. That's simply not the case. So do you group the National Urban League under there? See, if we're going to talk about people raising money and collecting money, I see the critics, oh, these folk raising money off of black pain, black death. Let's put it all on the table. Who else has raised money? NAACP, National Urban League, NAACP Legal Defense Fund, Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law, a plethora of local organizations. So what are we saying? If there's an organization that is in Charlotte and they are trying to change the laws to deal with police reform, are we saying that when they give a speech, they cannot bring up certain cases? Okay. Fine, done. Are we saying that they cannot have someone like this on a shirt? That's no problem. Okay, that's fine. I do believe it's problematic when we say, oh, y'all got to step down. Well, first of all, how do you tell someone to step down from an organization that they founded? I got somebody trying to tell me, yeah, I see it all. Some so-called truth seeker. Roland, I lost respect for you on this one. You can't even understand why Mrs. Rice felt that way watching that Grammy performance, turning this movement into some corporate sponsored performance. Well, that's nonsensical. See, let me unpack. You can't complain about corporate dollars when you're asking for corporate dollars. I'm just trying to understand here. What are we actually talking about? What exactly is the real thing we're talking about? I'm looking for the because I think this is important, because I think that and I've been watching this, and I just been seeing way too many black people like really caught up in all of this stuff and not really unpacking this thing. Perfect example. I see this tweet about Tamika Mallory simultaneously capitalizing off of their grief. We saw that with Breonna Khan. How was Tamika Mallory? See, let me just go. Y'all, this is the criticism I just showed you. Go ahead and show it. So they're criticizing this Breonna Khan Days of Action Bree barbecue. Yo,
They did this with the Breonna family. They were literally passing out food to the community. So are we upset with the name or with what they did? Are we upset with the name BreonnaCon, Days of Action, or are we upset with the work? And now are we mad with the folk who do the work? I'm just trying to understand the work that was done. Y'all don't remember that if you don't think the protests in Louisville every single day putting pressure on the city, if you don't think that did not play a role in the settlement for the family of Breonna Taylor that went beyond money, I don't know what planet you living on. How did that protest happen? How do you pay for the billboards? How do you pay for the permits? How do you pay to bail people out of jail who are protesting? How? How can you have a movement if we are asking the people to lead the movement for free? See, when we lump everybody together, Tamika Mallory is with Until Freedom. Sean King is Sean King. Ben Crump is Ben Crump. Black Lives Matter Global Movement is the Black Lives Matter Global Movement. These are separate entities. Do folks cross-pollinate? Yes. Do they talk? Yes. Do they share? Yes. Well, hell, so does the NAACP, the Urban League, and everybody else. How are lawsuits filed? What do we do here? How do folks begin to do this? See, again, we can go through this and it's important that we do. So what are we saying here? Are we saying that we're mad that a Tamika Mallory, see, let me just really, are we saying that a Tamika Mallory, how dare you speak about social justice during the Grammys when that presentation reached millions of people, otherwise you wouldn't reach them? Roland.
People, it's time we stand, it's time we demand the freedom that this land promises. President Biden, we demand justice, equity, policy, and everything else that freedom encompasses. And to accomplish this, we don't need allies, we need accomplices. It's bigger than black and white. This is not a trend, this is our plight until freedom.
That's what we're mad about?
that. The reason I believe we are seeing this, and and I said from the top, no one can understand the pain of losing a child to police violence except those who have lost a child to police violence. We have seen too many mothers and fathers lose children to police violence. There is Samaria Rice, there's Lisa Simpson. There's Philando Castile's mama. There's John Crawford Jr. Rakia Boyd's family. Ayanna Jones' family. I mean, we can go on and on and on and on and on and on and on. But here's the very basic question that we have to ask ourselves. If you are a black mama and a black daddy, and your child has been shot by the police, and nothing has been done, who are you going to call? Who are you going to call to try to get justice for your child? In the past, Reverend Jackson got the phone call. Reverend Sharpton got the phone call. In the past, Johnny Cochran got the phone call. The NAACP got the phone call. I can go on and on and on. Who are you going to call? Because guess what? And I'm going to go to my panel next after this. What if the Tamika Mallory say, you know what? I'm good. I'm going to go work for a voting rights nonprofit. And I can go get me a nonprofit job paying me $200,000 a year, focusing on voting rights. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on that stuff. I'm going to have a health care, a dental plan, a 401k, and I'm going to let somebody else go out there in the streets doing the work. Kim Brown, this ain't called yelling, it's called speaking. Get your facts right. And if it's too much for you, turn your volume down. Ben Crump could very well say, you know what, I'm going to go work on some corporate law. I'm going to go work on some personal injury law. Who going to take up the civil rights cases? How can the civil rights lawyers pay their staff? How can they pay their private investigators? How can they pay their court fees? How can they pay? Please, by all means, show me. All I want to know is all of the people who are complaining. I want you to answer a very basic and fundamental question. If there are no black activists to call, if there are no black civil rights lawyers to call. Please tell me how you are going to get justice for your child. Go to my panel. Julian, Avis, Eugene. Avis, I'll start with you. How do we deal with this? Because you got folk who are scared. I don't want to say nothing. I don't want to criticize, these mothers, and I didn't. But I do believe we got to have an honest discussion here. When allegations are laid out and some stuff ain't true, that truth is vital. So if an allegation is made, you raise money off of my child, you put my child on flyers, you put my child on shirts, stuff like, if that stuff ain't true, the record should be corrected. So what do you make of these two mothers saying that Tamika Mallory, Ben Crump, Shaun King, Black Lives Matter, Global Movement, they all need to step down from activism in this case? Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, truth is absolutely necessary. I can't imagine what it must have felt like to get your 12-year-old, in essence, murdered via drive-by shooting by a police officer who to this day is still alive, still fine, not in jail, never really received any substantive punishment for what happened. And you have a police department that, to me, has gone out of its way to be especially vile to her. So I think that that's important to recognize the context of what she's going through, absolutely. But I also think that it's important to not lump everyone in the same basket, as you've mentioned. I do think that it is a truth that there are some people who have risen to fame in the sort of Black Lives Matter movement era, and that have been extremely personally successful as a result of that. And one could debate, really the degree to which that those successes that have happened subsequent to that, the degree to which some of these individuals have really had a long history. A lot of them have not, okay? And have been able to go on and have very successful careers, book deals, and all the movies. She's right about some of that. But let's also talk about Tamika. Tamika is someone who's been involved with this work well before the Black Lives Matter movement. She's not a product of the Black Lives Matter movement. She's been in this work, let's be honest, since she was a child.
Years.
Her parents.
25 years.
Absolutely. Her parents worked in this, in the movement, particularly with Nan, and she grew up as an activist, worked within that organization. She has personally had a loved one, and I'm not going to go into great detail because I don't even know if she's been public about it, but she's personally had a loved one murdered by the police prior to the Black Lives Matter movement. So she knows this type of pain. She's personally experienced it. And that has been a lot of, I believe, her fire around working in this area of social justice.
Yes, her activism started when the father of her son was shot and killed. Absolutely. That's where it started. So, absolutely. Yes, Tamika Mallory is no different from Sean Bell's widow.
Absolutely, absolutely.
One died at the hand of police, one died to senseless gun violence. Go ahead.
Absolutely. So the father of her child is dead as a result of police violence. This is something that she has been fighting against for years. And so she knows this from a very personal experience. And as I mentioned, very well before the dawn of the Black Lives Matter movement. As you mentioned, her organization is a distinct and independent organization. It is not a part of the Black Lives Matter network. So the confluence with people sort of mixing all of this stuff together is an unfortunate misunderstanding of the facts. That's just clearly not the case. She was doing this work well before Black Lives Matter. She understands what it's like to have the love of her life murdered by police, the father of her child murdered by the police. And she's been doing this work for decades. So, you know, I think we have to be very careful here about painting with a broad brush and throwing everybody under the bus because we don't know the facts around different situations. It is possible to critique and say about, you know, certain situations, I don't know about where this money is and all this and all that. But when we're being specific and we're calling specific people out, let's also be clear that we know the facts around that person, particularly when we're trying to project onto them things that they've never been involved in.
Julian, I'm reading here. So these were tweets that Lisa Simpson sent out on March 16th, and I would love to. I'm going to read them, and I just want to, because I think these are demands that they made. Number one, step down from the spotlight of our fights. Do not do any more interviews, make any more T-shirts, or hold any more press conferences or events in the name of our loved ones. Do not use our loved ones to market any events. Number two, Black Lives Matter Los Angeles should pay me, Lisa Simpson, as I am the mother of Richard Risher. They had a press conference for the 49-day encampment when my son, Richard Risher, first got killed. They raised $5,000 for my son's funeral. I never received one penny. There should be accounting there. Was the money paid to the funeral home or paid for so were expenses paid? Was the money supposed to go to her, or did they actually pay for the funeral? Those are legitimate questions that deserve an answer. Number three, financial assistance for the Tamir Rice Foundation from all who have exploited Tamir Rice. Tamika Mallory, Sean King, Benjamin Crump, and Black Lives Matter Global Network. I, Samaria Rice, purchased the building in 2018, and it needs remodeling, operational funds, etc. Housing funds for Lisa Simpson, as I am battling homelessness with my current children. My son, Richard Risher, was killed by LAPD, and I was offered no assistance from BLM. I'm currently living in a motel with my children and need funds for housing. And then she put, support the Tamir Rice Foundation and make all requested donations there. Send personal donations to the cash apps of Samaria Rice and Lisa Lee. So these are the demands that were made. Julian, your thoughts about that and all we're talking about?
I don't mean to laugh. I'm just thinking that they're accusing Sean King, Melina Abdullah, being grifters. But these demands sound like griftering demands, frankly, and I don't mean any disrespect. I know that these sisters have to be in enormous pain. They must be in enormous pain. They've lost their loved ones. They haven't gotten justice. They believe that other people are exploiting their loved ones for their own benefit. But as you said, Roland, in the beginning, where are the facts? Now, I think it's perfectly reasonable to ask the folks in LA who raised $5,000, where did the $5,000 go? That's perfectly reasonable. But I think that this dissension, how can I put it? I can't put it. But it basically, at some level, gives the melanin deficient opportunities to talk about our movement in deleterious ways. Tamika Mallory, as Ava said, I've known her for a while. Great sister, very rooted in struggle. That she was at the Grammys, frankly, was a victory for social and economic justice for Black people. But Melina Abdullah is a personal friend, founder of the Black Lives Matter movement in LA, professor at Cal State, Los Angeles, again, rooted in struggle. She's not making a penny off this. She, in fact, has often been castigated by her colleagues at the university for her activism. So, you know, as you said, people don't get paid for this. Ben Crump, I don't know what he, of course, he obviously has to eat and has to live, but I don't think he's running around giving these people invoices. So I'm just really, I guess the word might be disgusted, but that's a little strong. I'm perplexed by the way this is going. I do think that people should be accountable, but I don't think that this venomous attack on principled activists is at all useful. And when you look at the names they're calling out, these are people who put their bodies on the line, put their reputations on the line, put their spirits on the line. I feel so badly for these women. I really do. But that's not on these activists. I do think if there's a lot of money being raised, perhaps there could be some donation. But we don't know that a lot of money is being raised. We don't know what it's going for, Roland. And so, as you said at the beginning of your statement, we've got to deal with facts here. And I don't think that anybody in this debacle, and that's what it is the debacle, is dealing in fact.
Eugene, I made clear to Patrisse Cullors in Black Lives Matter, they got to be transparent and accountable for what they do. I said the exact same thing to Derek Johnson, the NAACP. Let me say it again. The NAACP has gotten more money than Black Lives Matter. More. I know for a fact they've gotten in excess of $100 million since George Floyd's death.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Are we demanding to see the plan of action from the NAACP? And we should. I know the National Urban League has gotten millions since the death of George Floyd.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if we go back, before that, a year or two, Eric Garner and Mike Brown, we can probably track even more. All legitimate questions. But when I hear people say, these folks are profiting off our pain, first of all, you need to be specific who you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Because see, Eugene, I remember reading stories of Black Lives Matter activists in Boston and other places in 2015 and 2016, where folks were talking about sleeping on couches because they had gotten evicted and they needed dental work, had no dental plans. And then it began to dawn on many of these activists that they had all of this passion to fight in the streets, but then it hit them. They needed infrastructure because you cannot, and let me say this for everybody who is watching and listening, you cannot have sustained organizations if they are broke. You cannot ask people to give their time and energy and their lives and say to hell with your family. Forget that you might have kids. We want you to give. See, if folk, Eugene, gonna really make me go there, how many black people were asking Coretta on April 5th, 1968?
Mm-hmm.
How you gonna make it happen with your 4 kids now that you are a widow? 1967, Dr. King gave the speech at Riverside Church on April 4th, 1967, and the money dried up. The speeches dried up. The only thing that he had when he died was a life insurance policy from the church denomination. And were it not for Harry Belafonte and others who sent the kids to private school, who provided for security, who paid for groceries, Coretta Scott King would have been penniless because her husband gave all to the movement. When he got the Nobel Peace Prize, he gave the money and split it up between the movement. Kept none of it. So I just want our people to understand that you cannot demand folk to fight for you pro bono and say, well, somebody else, they're gonna pay you. Somebody else gonna pay your bills. Somebody else gonna send your kids to college. Somebody else gonna pay your light bill. Eugene, go ahead.
Look, first and foremost, we always start empathize with the families, right? They have a right to feel the way they feel. They experience stuff that's unique to them. But with that said, I think that there's accountability and questions that need to be asked on all sides. The organizations only work when the trust is there, and the only way to actually build and sustain trust is through proper transparency. And look, that doesn't necessarily just start or stop with BLM. I think it starts and stops with every organization that's involved in the movement. I think there probably should be some movement accountability project that says, hey, this is what this org is doing, this is what they're funded, this is where the money went, X, Y, and Z. But by the same token, you're 100% correct. You cannot reasonably expect someone to do something for free for you, even if they are doing it for free or giving their time, blood, sweat, effort, and tears to fight on your behalf and your cause. For me, I'll be the blunt one here. A lot of this popping up now cries a lot of, give me the attention, give me the attention, give me the attention. Why are they getting the attention? Look, we all know Tamika Mallory and others have been at this long before this was a formalized movement the way it is right now. They were out there on the front lines. And look, I said this somewhere else. You have the Sharpton-Jackson, what I like to call the Sharpton-Jackson effect at play here. People want Jesse Jackson or Al Sharpton to show up to their cause and lend their name to elevate their cause and give them help. But then the second, that light shines on Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson, it becomes, oh my gosh, why are they here? You know what I mean? And so, I think for a lot of this to work, it has to be effective two-way streets and transparency and accountability for everybody.
I got a person on YouTube, Johnny Burton. He said, what about pro bono lawyers? Johnny. Johnny. Let me explain something to you, Johnny. A pro bono lawyer means some other clients are footing the bill for him to take your case for free. Some other clients are footing the bill for her to take your case for free.
There you go.
So, please, I don't understand how you think you're going to pay for office space, staff, filing fees, everything that goes with being a lawyer, just, it's just going to appear. I don't really understand folk not understanding what we're dealing with here. Let me be real clear. I absolutely understand folks making the argument when they say that there are people profiting off of black pain. But you need to be specific in who you talking to. And if you gonna raise that point, you better have your ducks in a row. You better have your receipts. What you don't do is just throw something out there and then go, oh, it's true. No. Cause so here's the deal. If you are Lisa Simpson, and if money was raised to pay for your son's funeral expenses, you should be saying, how much did you raise? Where did the money go? Show me receipts. That's fair. That's absolutely fair. But if you want to demand, that money go towards the building, let's be. Look, the city of Cleveland paid a $6 million settlement in the Tamir Rice lawsuit. $6 million. Who did it go to?
The settlement wouldn't have been there without the help of the folk of Tamika Mallory and Ben Crump.
You don't get the $6 million settlement without people out there protesting, pushing.
And where did the money go? You know, Roland, I serve on one of Reverend Jackson's boards. And he, as he said, people call him, he shows up. He doesn't ask for money. I mean, obviously the organization Rainbow Push raises money and pays for him and his folks. You know, he needs security. And now that he's been a bit ill, he needs someone to be with him. But they don't say to people, I'm not going to come unless you give me X number of dollars. He just shows up. If people happen to help him with the expenses, that's gratitude. And occasionally some corporate folks have donated a private plane or something like that. But the fact is that folks don't understand how organizations work and what infrastructure looks like and how a Reverend Jackson or a Reverend Sharpton moves around the country and what it takes for them to do that. And they don't run around giving people invoices. They come because they're called. Again, sometimes people do help. Oftentimes they don't. And that's all right because they're not necessarily pecuniarily motivated. They're justice motivated. And so when you look at this stuff that's on the internet with these people talking about profiting off of pain, hell, we're all in pain. And the fact is that Tamir Rice, all these other young people who've been killed, they represent so many others whose names have not floated to the top, whose names like Oscar Grant in Oakland didn't get anything, his family didn't get anything, but he is as much a tragedy as Tamir Rice was. And so what I'm fearing about these sisters who are putting this out there is that they don't understand the intersectionality of pain, of how every single time a Black man, woman, child is killed, we are all going through pain. And that's why so many of us support Tamika, respect and admire Ben Crump, appreciate Reverend Jackson for the work that they've done. And I just, it really puts a chill down my spine to see us fighting about pain.
And let me be real clear. I have no problem at all having Lisa Simpson or Samara Rice on this show talking about this here. But what I want our people to do, and let me be real clear, I want our people to operate from facts. There are people who are sending DMs to Tamika with death threats. Bitch, where's the 90 million? She doesn't work for Black Lives Matter Global Network. The life of Tamika Mallory has been consistently threatened because of these allegations. Let me say it again. The life of Tamika Mallory has been consistently threatened because of these allegations. If we're going to talk about have a family conversation, have it privately. I do believe issues should be addressed. I do believe Mike Brown and the activists in Ferguson should be talking with the Black Lives Matter Global Network. I do believe that the other Black Lives Matter chapters should be talking with Patrice Cullors and the Black Lives Matter Global Network to say, hey, how are y'all going to be dispersing funds to chapters? Will it be $500,000 per chapter or $1 million per chapter? How will that be done? Do we have to apply all those different things? There should be a process set up. But my last point on this, and I want to be real clear, and I need everybody to listen to me clearly. Be real careful telling folk to stop being involved in this fight for social justice.
because they might just do it. And when it's time for the next family to call somebody, to stand with them, to fight for them, to organize protests on their behalf, the call may go unanswered. And then, what will we say? Because nobody is obligated to fight on behalf of anybody else. No lawyer, no civil rights lawyer is obligated to take a case. No activist is obligated to fly across the country to stand with families. There are many who do it because they have been called to do so because they care. Oh, let me be real clear. There are those in the game who are in this for the check. Oh, let's not make no mistake. There are those who are in the game for the awards. There are those who are in this movement to be on magazine covers and to get invited to Hollywood parties and panels at the Aspen Institute and to be able to hang with rich white elites. Oh, there are those who are in it for that reason. But you better be specific as to who they are and not paint broad brushes. All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends. Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have that you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it, please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.